as usual. But
hey,
Graham, I've got a friend of yours here.
The great Ryan Tinsman right there, it seems like, right?
Ryan,
what's up, Graham? What's up, Steve?
There he is, the man, the myth, the legend.
We're in the danger zone, as you know.
So, Ryan, tell people about your videos and what you see in these bus shelters on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, man. How much time do we have now? I'm just kidding. I got to say, I just came out of a meeting with the Metro, and I think they wanted to keep it mostly about the fares, but there were a lot of good suggestions from people there, I think. And I wasn't the only one to raise the issue of the dangers of the bus stops. In fact, I'm waiting for a guy to come out right now that I may grab and talk to for a second, because he spoke up at the very end. He's probably in his 80s, if I were to guess. If he's in his 90s, he looks really good for 90. But the guy said some interesting stuff about having to ride from East Deering and not taking this bus stop, not using this bus stop right across the street from us anymore, because he says it's just too dangerous. People will demand money from him, and he said if he doesn't give them money, it feels like they're going to take it from him. And it's just really interesting hearing it from a guy like that.
So, Ryan, are you riding the bus to work every day, or do you take it to work, or you just take it for the videos, or like are you an actual bus user to get around?
Yeah, I actually do use the bus. I have epilepsy, so I don't drive. So, I mean, I was just telling the constables, if I'm perfectly honest, yes, 50% of my content is me coming by, and I'll purposely go in front of the bus stop to see what's going on if it's crazy. But I am riding the bus a lot. So, I mean, I ride the bus probably 4 or 5 times a day. So.
Yeah. So you're the perfect example of the problem here, where it's like you're someone that actually needs to rely on this public transport, and you've documented it perfectly. Like the guy pissing on the ground right in front of you, the guy yelling at the bus driver. Like for normal people that are trying to live their lives, their quality of life is being degraded like intensely by this situation, and the city isn't really doing anything about it.
I mean, it feels like they'll do something for a week or two and then it goes away, you know? So I always joke with people when it starts to get cleaned up. I say, oh, geez, I wonder if Obama's in town or George Bush, you know? Like, it seems like whenever someone important comes to town, they clean it up and make it look nice and put lipstick on it, you know? But,
well, you joke about that, but that happened in San Francisco with the dictator of China, but it also happened in 2022 when Governor LePage scheduled a press conference in Deering Oak Park. Just like within 24 hours, they somehow got their acts together and managed to go in and clean up that park because they didn't want to give Governor LePage the effective political backdrop of a public space that had obviously been left to fester and was turned over to criminals and degenerates rather than being a public space where you could take your kids or have a picnic or something. But I'd be interested in hearing or seeing the video that you take with this elderly man, because you, Graham, are absolutely right that the public transit system is it's not designed to be like a flophouse cushion for drug users to retire on at the end of the night. Unfortunately, that's what it is. I mean, in your experience, Ryan, what do you think it would take to improve the quality of the public transportation system in Portland?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I've been fooled because of an incident I had at the beginning of COVID. You may or may not have seen my post that I posted yesterday. I was in the dark as to whether or not this was even private or public. I was under the impression, because of how the police lied to me, trying to remove me from a bus, I was telling them they couldn't do that legally, and they were like, yes, we can. This is private. So because of that incident, I had a totally warped view of what the situation actually was. Now that I learned yesterday that this is all public, my mind is just spinning, thinking, oh my God, like why is this worse? I thought it was worse because it went private and, you know, everybody was passing the buck. Like the Metro was saying, oh, that's police job. Police saying, no, that's Metro's job. But it's all the same thing. It's all public. So what is going on? I don't know. I mean, I just want to jump back real quick to something I meant to say before, which is I got into all this content creating because of just so many assaults or near assaults that I've been involved with where I had no evidence. And a lot of these, I don't know, I don't want to say a lot of them, but some of the incidences are like where you're just asking someone to please not light up. Like, I don't usually tell people to stop smoking if I walk in and they're smoking, right? But if they're about to light up, I'll kindly ask them to not smoke. And you guys can use your own imagination to imagine some of the responses I get, you know, like every once in a while, someone's like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem," but 75% of the time, you're going to get at least verbally attacked. So I can understand how any woman or child or elderly person would feel terrified. And that's one of the things this guy said. He said, "Look, I'm too old. I mean, if something happens to me, I'm not going to be able to defend myself." And he said, "Unfortunately, I don't think anything's going to really get done until something really bad happens to someone." And they claim that they have some type of supervisor. I think you had left, but they have some supervisor that they said is going to go around and look for improvements. And they said he's not going to do policing, but he's going to make more. I don't know. It sounded like a no answer. My first suggestion was to make create a security position. I think they should create a security.
They formed a blue ribbon commission. A blue ribbon commission is going to examine the issues very closely. But yeah, it would seem like the issues in Portland, as much as it consumes a lot of general assistance welfare dollars, as the Preble Street hub, the Shalom House hub. There's a lot of welfare dollars flowing in there. As the economic engine for Southern Maine, you would think that the State House might have an interest in ensuring that Cumberland County had a functioning public transit system. But no indication in the supplemental budget that we were talking about earlier that there's anything being done to support a cleaner, safer public transit system or any extra funding for law enforcement in the area whatsoever.
We got another friend of yours here, Steve.
Hi, Steve Sharp.
Hey, Steve.
So I mean, it's a who's who here in Portland. But I had to leave the bus shelter while we were doing the show right in front of the Chase Bank because there was a guy in there shooting up. I mean, and there was a little kid in there, and there was quite obviously another mother in there. And here it is, 4:45 on a Thursday afternoon. Somebody's shooting up in public right in front of Chase Bank, bus shelter. Steve, you were at the meeting. What are they going to do about fixing these problems?
Well, the meeting was about fare increases primarily, but I think that's really a city issue, not a bus, because the shelter is actually owned by the city, not the bus.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of changing number of policies and hard fought fight.
But it's in a city that depends on tourism, and what I've just seen in the last 2 years, the decline just in the Monument Square area, just between trash, crime, needles, it's bad. It's real. And the reason I moved to Maine is because I always enjoyed coming to Portland. But I mean, now it's getting dangerous to come to Portland.
Are you sure that this person wasn't suffering a diabetic episode?
They were not shooting up diabetes. If I go back over there, I'm sure they'll be feeling rather comfortable, unfortunately. But I mean, Ryan, you see it every day, right? I mean, the amount of drug use in these shelters.
Oh yeah, but it's been different the last 2 weeks. I mean, they're clearly pushing people out off of Congress Street and down to Preble Street, because I've done a couple walks down through the Preble Street area, and everybody that I always see up here is down there. So, or they're just scattered, in twos and threes here and there, and I don't know. I'm trying to be optimistic. I really am. I don't like being so negative all the time, but I've just seen this before. I've seen the lipstick get put on it and then it comes right back. I mean, I'm not very optimistic, and that's just because of my experiences. I'm not trying to be negative.
Ryan, I've got one last question for you here from my end.
Sure.
A couple months ago, there was a little bit of a spat between the Metro and the city of Portland and the Trump administration over the executive order to prevent the non-citizen bus drivers. So how are the bus drivers in your experience? Do you notice people that don't talk English, or do you generally think they're doing a good job?
I have mixed feelings about that. I mean, you asked me two different questions. There is a lot of people that don't speak great English, but some of them are very nice and very good drivers. I would say that I don't feel great about, and of course it's an arbitrary number, but I mean, it just feels like maybe 25% of them don't really have the empathy and compassion you'd think would come with the job. And maybe I was a little spoiled when I was riding the bus 15, 20 years ago, and a bus driver could be coming up to a stop. You're not near it. You're running towards it, waving at them, and they would stop. But nowadays they seem, and again, I don't want to exaggerate, but there's a few bad apples, I think, that it just feels like they get a little bit of a kick out of making you miss the bus. And I mean, I'm not making this up. I was just talking to a friend of mine that was in a wheelchair, or that is in a wheelchair, a couple days ago. I ran into him in Mill Creek. He was telling me a story about how just this winter it happened to him twice. He said, and he lives over on the part. I don't know if you guys are familiar with South Portland, but basically, if you're driving out to Cash Corner, there's like this big hill, and he lives up there. So I'm just picturing him out in his wheelchair in the middle of Broadway with no stores around or anything, and it's just crazy to think about. I mean, that didn't happen 15 years ago.
Guys, you can't make this up. We just had this guy he had tattoos all over his face, and he just threw Narcan at us.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, I've got 2 things of Narcan and the box of Narcan here, and he just came by and he like threw it at us, and then he threw it into the middle of the street. So I mean, only on Maine Wire TV can you get Narcan thrown at you.
Hey, save those. That's like $45 a dose.
Yeah, you probably have on video. You have on video walking by you. If you go back and look.
Yeah.
Just before, while Ryan was talking there.
You know, he walked past Ryan and then he threw this Narcan. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I actually thought it was. I got sidetracked for a little bit. I don't know if I should even be saying this, but I thought it was the traffic cone assault guy at first. So I was gonna turn the camera right around on it and see if you had any questions for him. But
that guy's great.
different guy.
So it's unbelievable.
Is this guy from the city? Is this a city social worker? Is this their part of their strategy to clean up the bus stop? Is to hand out the Narcan? Were they watching and saw that you were at the bus station and decided you needed to get a experience of the city of Portland services firsthand?
Unfortunately, I think this young man needs this much more than the 3 of us here need this. I mean, this is what we're dealing with here. You've got a mental illness crisis, you've got a drug crisis, you have a homeless crisis, and Preble Street is a minute and a half walk from here, and they're trying to push everything towards Preble Street, and your main Monument Square is right here. I mean, it's as the weather gets better. I mean, it's really cold here right now. The wind is whipping. But as the weather gets better, people are just going to come up to Monument Square, and it's going to have, impacts on Portland. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, you should probably get out of there now that you've got your Narcan. I think you've risked your safety and hygiene enough for the sake of Maine Wire TV. I think now's usually the time of the program where we would throw it over to Neocon Tom to get an update on how the Iran war is going, because he's been following that much more closely than we have. However,